Facebook Live. We're facing the books and we're live. And hi. I was not just singing a dorky song to myself while getting ready to do this. Nope, not even a little bit. Hello, everyone. It is time for Chapter 13 of Book 5 of the Oz series. The book's called The Road to Oz. The chapter is called The Truth Pond. Now, as you recall, last night our friends crossed the deadly desert on a sand boat and they smashed into some rocks and they all ended up on a cliff top and the boat is destroyed, so they can't get back. But that's probably okay since they don't really know how they got there. It's not like they could retrace their steps. So now we're going to find out what happens in Chapter 13 called The Truth Pond. They're in the land of Oz, people. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Ooh, and I was checking to see how long this chapter was, and I saw the title of Chapter 14, and I think the title of Chapter 14... What's wrong? Okay, apparently my son has cold feet, and my wife is dying? I don't know. But I just saw the title for the next chapter, the chapter we're going to read tomorrow night, and it's very exciting. So when we get there, you'll all be like, yay, because we're going to see some old friends. All right, Chapter 13. Chapter 13 is The Truth Pond. Let's read together, shall we? I keep saying words like I'm stalling, but I'm really not. I just have started doing this, and it's kind of fun. Plus, I feel like William Shatner. Yes. Let's read together. I'm like looking to see if you're still watching, but I don't know. Okay. They now made a more careful examination of the country around them. All was fresh and beautiful after the sultriness of the desert, and the sunshine and sweet, crisp air were delightful to the wanderers. Little mounds of yellowish green were away at the right, while on the left waved a group of tall, leafy trees bearing yellow blossoms that looked like tassels and pom-poms. Among the grasses carpeting the ground were pretty buttercups and cowslips and marigolds. After looking at these a moment, Dorothy said reflectively, "Well, we must be in the country of the Wankies, for the color of that country is yellow. And you will notice that most everything here is yellow if it has any color at all." "But I thought this was the land of Oz," replied the Shaggy Man, as if greatly disappointed. "So it is," she declared. "But there are 4 parts to the land of Oz. The north country is purple, and that's the country of the Gillikins. And the east country is blue, that's the country of the Munchkins. Down to the south is the red country of the Quadlings, and here in the west, the yellow country of the Winkies. This is the part that's ruled by the Tin Woodman, you know." "Who's he?" asked Button-Bright. "Why, he's the Tin Man I told you about. His name's Nick Chopper, and he has a lovely heart given to him by the wonderful wizard." "Where does he live?" asked the boy. The wizard? Oh, he lives in the Emerald City, which is just in the middle of Oz, and where the corners of the 4 countries meet." "Oh," said Button-Bright, puzzled by this explanation. "Well, we must be some distance from the Emerald City," remarked the Shaggy Man. "Well, that's true," she replied, "so we'd better start on and see if we can find any of the Winkies. They're nice people," she continued, as the little party began walking toward the group of trees. "And I came here once with my friends the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the Cowardly Lion to fight a wicked old witch who made all the Winkies her slaves." "Did you conquer her?" asked Polly. "Why, I melted her with a bucket of water, and that was the end of her," replied Dorothy. "And after that, the people were free, you know, and they made Nick Chopper, that's the Tin Woodman. They made him their emperor." "What's that?" asked Button-Bright. "Emperor? Oh, it's something like an alderman, I guess." "Oh," said the boy. "But I thought Princess Ozma ruled Oz," said the Shaggy Man. So she does. She rules the Emerald City and all the 4 countries of Oz, but each country has another little ruler, not so big as Ozma. It's like the officers of an army. You see, the little rulers are all captains, and Ozma's the general." By this time they had reached the trees, which stood in a perfect circle and just far enough apart so that their thick branches touched, or shook hands, as Button-Bright remarked. I guess that'd be shook hands, as Button-Bright remarked. Under the shades of the trees they found, in the center of the circle, a crystal pool, its water as still as glass. It must have been deep, too, for when Polychrome bent over it, she gave a little sigh of pleasure. "Why, it's a mirror!" she cried, for she could see all her pretty face and fluffy rainbow-tinted gown reflected in the pool, as natural as life. Dorothy bent over too and began to arrange her hair, blown by the desert wind into straggling tangles. Button-Bright leaned over the edge next, and then began to cry, for the sight of his fox had frightened the poor little fellow. "I guess I won't look," remarked the Shaggy Man sadly, for he didn't like his donkey head either. While Polly and Dorothy tried to comfort Button-Bright, the Shaggy Man sat down near the edge of the pool where his image could not be reflected, and stared at the water thoughtfully. As he did this, he noticed a silver plate fastened to a rock just under the surface of the water, and on the silver plate was engraved these words: "The Truth Pond." "Ah!" cried the Shaggy Man, springing to his feet with eager joy. "We found it at last." "Found what?" asked Dorothy, running to him. "The Truth Pond. Now at last I may get rid of this frightful head, for we were told, you remember, that only the Truth Pond could restore me to my proper face." "Me too!" shouted Button-Bright, trotting up to them. "Of course," said Dorothy. "It will cure you both of your bad heads, I guess. Isn't it lucky we found it?" "It is indeed," replied the Shaggy Man. "I hated dreadfully to go to Princess Ozma looking like this, and she's to have a birthday celebration, too." Just then a splash startled them, for Button-Bright, in his anxiety to see the pool that would cure him, had stepped too near the edge and tumbled heels over head into the water. Down he went out of sight entirely, so that only his sailor hat floated on top of the Truth Pond. He soon bobbed up, and the Shaggy Man seized him by his sailor collar and dragged him to the shore, dripping and gasping for breath. They all looked upon the boy wonderingly, for the fox head with its sharp nose and pointed ears was gone, and in its place appeared the chubby round face and blue eyes and pretty curls that had belonged to Button-Bright before King Dox of Foxville transformed him. "Oh, what a darling!" cried Polly, and she would have hugged the little boy had he not been so wet. Their joyful exclamations made the child rub the water out of his eyes and look at his friends questioningly. "You're all right now, dear," said Dorothy. "Come and look at yourself." She led him to the pool, and although there were still a few ripples on the surface of the water, he could see his reflection plainly. "It's me!" he said in a pleased yet awed whisper. "Of course it is," replied the girl. "We're all as glad as you are, Button-Bright." "Well," announced the Shaggy Man, "my turn next." He took off his shaggy coat and laid it on the grass and dived headfirst into the Truth Pond. When he came up, the donkey head had disappeared, and the Shaggy Man's own shaggy head was in its place. With the water dripping in little streams from his shaggy whiskers, he scrambled ashore and shook himself to get some of the wet, and then get off some of the wet, then leaned over the pool to look admiringly at his reflected face. "I may not be stunningly beautiful even now," he said to his companions, who watched him with smiling faces, "but I'm so much handsomer than any donkey that I feel proud as I can be." "You're all right, Shaggy Man," declared Dorothy. "And Button-Bright's all right, too, so let's thank the Truth Pond for being so nice, start on our journey to the Emerald City." "I hate to leave it," murmured the Shaggy Man with a sigh. "Truth Pond wouldn't be a bad thing to carry around with us." But he put on his coat and started with the others in search of someone to direct them on their way. And that is the end of Chapter 13, The Truth Pond. They got their normal heads back. How exciting is that? And now the really exciting part. Tomorrow night is Chapter 14. And Chapter 14 is called Tick-Tock and Billina. We get to see some of our old friends tomorrow. Who's excited? Who's excited? I'm excited. Yay! All right. And now the kids are singing. All right. I will see you all tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Facebook. Good night.